All right, so we're going to shift gears now, and we're going to bring in an amazing human being who I have met, and we've got started to get to know each other, and I'm really just so happy that I've gotten to know this guy and his information, his book. I've only touched on it a little bit, but Black Values Matter is on Amazon, it's on Kindle, it's now on Audibles, and he's a great patriot, and I look forward to sharing him with our audience here. So we're gonna bring in Berney Flowers now. Berney, thanks for joining us, man.
Man, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely, you sound perfect.
Outstanding, man. Thank you for the time. I was listening to your previous guest and I'm all fired up. And, she's on the same page we are. And so we got to get the word out, man. Got to get the word out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a lot of work to do, but that's what we're doing here. There's people like you and I who are just dedicated to this mission. So, since we're started with that, you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, I met you at CPAC. That was really cool. We kind of bonded instantly along with Moira Hamilton. And, I've been on her show, and now you promised to have me on yours, and here I am. What's my background? 20 years in the United States Air Force doing what Uncle Sam told me to do, going where he told me to go. Another 13 years as a senior civilian in DOD, and I got a chance to roam around all over the three-letter agencies. So my career is a little bit different. 34 years altogether behind the fence doing things that you need a clearance for. And I've got a lot of knowledge, and I saw some things that I wasn't happy with. So right around the time of COVID and the Afghan refugee thing and the COVID and the Haitian refugee thing, I saw this money that was being spent by the United States government, and I just wasn't comfortable with it anymore, as opposed to our inner cities falling. Baltimore, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, San Francisco, you name it, the crumbling infrastructure of this country was more than I could stand, and especially somebody who is sworn to defend it. So I decided to go ahead and retire. I was able to have enough time to retire and from both DoD and DHS. It's a long story, but bottom line is that I'm a retired DoD civilian, a retired military officer, and my intention is to make the government work for us as opposed to us working for the government.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge mission, and that's what needs to happen right now. It seems like the balance of power has gotten completely flipped on its head, and we forgot that the beginnings of the roots of this nation starts with we the people.
Amen. Amen. It's funny, the reason we have a Second Amendment, the reason that we have that is because of the First Amendment. We need to be able to speak and feel comfortable in our surroundings. And if not so, our Second Amendment is there for us to correct our government when it gets out of control. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying what the Constitution was written for. So with that said, I hope that covers everything there is to know about me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. It's you've got a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience that most people just wouldn't be able to comprehend, and so it's so wonderful that you can share it with us, and bring
Blessed,
that
brother.
level of wisdom.
Totally
You know.
blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been watching some stuff over the last few days when we are speaking of talking about the DOJ, and we've been watching some indictments happening. We watched an indictment of the 45th president yesterday, which seems to be like such a shift of what we know as the foundations of this nation, and the basically the rule of law. What do you see going forward with your experience and what you've seen from the inside with what we're looking at right now?
Absolutely unprecedented. I mean, here it is. Remember when Clinton had his little thing with Monica Lewinsky? I
Yeah.
mean, he basically broke the law as far as I'm concerned. Was there an indictment of him? Or how
Not at
about
all.
I'm a big fan of John F. Kennedy, but we knew he was running a harem in there, you know, and nobody indicted him. And there are other presidents with all kinds of things that they've done. But why is it that you're trying to embarrass the one person who has a chance of changing this country for the better? So this is all political. These are all literal trumped up charges. Even on CNN, as liberal as they are, they were saying, "Hey, these charges are not substantial," and it's just crazy. So they're not doing this to really indict him and put him in jail. They're doing this to bring a negative light on his potential presidency, and so I just think that's a foul, and I think it's very disingenuous on the part of the current administration. And if you could see above my head, there's a military commission that was signed by the president. Military people, especially officers, having officers commissioned, and I've got one. And most senior civil servants have to, swear to the Constitution, not to the government. And these people that are carrying these things out against Mr. Trump, in this case, against a sitting or a retired president, or better yet, a former president, they're in the wrong. They're not following the oath that they had to sign up for. So I find it strange. I don't know why people would do that. I still got a lot of connections with the active federal government, and a lot of people on the inside are very, very disappointed. But it's the people at the top of the food chain that are pressing this on. And about those George Soros funded district attorneys. They're doing what they're told to do. This is not by accident. This is a plan. And so, what can we do about it? We got to get involved. We got to make sure our elected officials know where we stand. I mean, I would recommend writing letters to your elected official, let them know where you stand. I don't care if it's the garbage man or the congressman or the senator. They've got to know where you stand. And secondly, get involved in local politics. Your central committee. I mean, I know you're involved in your central committee, and let folks know where you stand. Let them know that you're loud and proud. And thirdly, this just it's been weaponized. The whole political thing has been weaponized, and it's not. There's no accident that. And let me pronounce this man's name properly. Miles Go, that the young lady
Whoa.
was talking
Yep.
about.
Yep.
The World Economic Forum is our enemy. And there are a lot of smart people that I know in this area. When I mentioned World Economic Forum, I mentioned Klaus Schwab, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And so we got to tell folks what's going on, because these people don't have a lot of goodness planned for us. They're trying to take down our country and change it to something that we wouldn't be comfortable with. And I could tell you about a lot of other different things. I'm not saying anything official because I am a retired military/government civil servant. I am only speaking for myself. I'm just talking about things that I see as an experienced 34-year operator that I don't like. And I read Klaus Schwab's Fourth Industrial Revolution, and I know all about the what do you call it? We shall eat bugs and you will like it, and that sort of thing. The Great Reset.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what we're doing. We're going down the 1984 playbook. And the sad thing is, I know you had to read that in high school, and I had
Oh
to
yeah.
read it in high school. I still got a copy of it, and I refer to it every once in a while. But a lot of people under the age of 35 don't understand George Orwell. They don't
Yep.
understand what's out there and what people have in store for our great way of life. And I got a granddaughter, and I want her to live at least as well as I'm living. And this generation is not living as well as their forebears. So I got a real problem with that, and I'm going to try to change it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what it takes is men like you and I to stand up, men and women to stand up and change it.
Amen.
When we were just talking about Miles Guo, he actually he was one of the funders of the Tiananmen Square protests in the beginning, and then he was
Mhm.
locked up for 22 months and tortured after that. And he's became the largest whistleblower against the CCP. And he predicted a few years ago. He came out and told Steve Bannon and Donald Trump that their plan was to indict Trump. And he told them that this was going to happen, and he told them exactly why and how it was going to happen. And it seems that the energy and the power that's connected with the World Economic Forum is being carried out through the powers of the CCP with their infiltration on every level of our our society. It seems to be, as well as weaponization of the virus we call COVID-19, as well as the vaccinations. So we're kind of in this situation right now where the people, we the people, actually need to start taking back our own community, our own society, whether it's our school boards, all the way up to the county councils, to the individual Republican and Democrat Party on both sides of not only on the national side of the things but the state side of the things. And it seems that there's been a lot of manipulation of the mind, especially utilizing the mainstream legacy corporate media.
Agreed. It's funny you say that. And speaking of corporate media, they're really not serving us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a few companies that own everything that we see. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a chart years ago that said 6 companies own all the media companies. And there was a law that Clinton put into place. I forget it was. I think it was called the Fair Communications Act or something to that effect back in the 90s, that basically birthed the cable news outlet system. And we went away from the idea of news being something, Uncle Walter Cronkite, that sort of stuff, somebody you trusted. Now it's profit driven. And you've got all these cable news outlets. But I was going to talk about, the whole East Palestine um, oil spill or chemical spill. Now, apparently, there's a lot of chemicals being spilled all over the country, but specifically, they took some of that water and took it down to Texas, down to a water treatment plant down there without telling the people in Texas. Folks are very upset about that. But they
Hmm.
also were in the process of bringing that some of that water to Baltimore, to water treatment plants in Baltimore. They were going to truck it here. And
Hmm.
from what I understand, there's been a big pushback against that, but most people don't even know what's going on. Now, here's my issue. I know that the United States Army specifically has water purification battalions. We have
Yeah.
equipment and people trained to purify water anywhere in harsh environments. And I'm hearing very little about those battalions being deployed to East Palestine, Ohio. So I'm out of the government now. I keep aware of different things. I just haven't heard that. And I know that our government has paid for and we have trained our soldiers to purify water in a large scale. I'm talking about enough water for a large town. And when the Army does something, they do it big. So why did we not deploy those troops to those situations where they could actually, practice the skill that they were trained on? So anyway, I got issues with that, and there's a lot of other things I got issues with. So I'm just a grumpy old soldier, and I see a lot of things coming our way that I don't like, and I'm just gonna try to fix as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And well, I'm glad that you're out there on the front lines with us all, and taking that wealth of knowledge and experience, and bringing it to continue to serve the people. That oath never dies. That's with us till
Never
the end.
dies. Thank
And
you, brother. I see that flag back behind you, and it warms my heart.
yeah, that's where my loyalties lie, sir. And I honor you and thank you for your service. And that's what I'm willing to commit everything that I have, and everything that I am to saving. So it's the people of this nation, and this founding documents that created this republic is truly the you know my life's mission.
Yeah, our country's
We've
under
got to
attack right now. We need
we are.
every hand on deck right now.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I have only peeked into your book a little bit, but Black Values Matter seems to really kind of highlight some of that, and especially from certain communities. And you want to get into tell us the audience about your book and about where that started, and the inspiration that came from.
Well, let me start with, here's the book. You can buy it on Amazon. It's you can buy what do you call it, the paperback like this, or you can get it on what do you call that? Audible. We're working on the Kindle version. You can buy it on Audible right now, and it'll be on iTunes. And we're just making a lot of inroads with the thing. And my point is, it's a short read, about 3 hours. Anybody could go right through it really quick. And I'm going to read the back cover of the book for you, so it'll give you an understanding. Blacks are among the most conservative ethnic groups in America. Somebody needs to tell them that because as a group, we aren't voting like it. Most blacks I know are concerned with basic common sense issues like crime, inflation, the economy, taxes, school choice, vaccinations, and other things. Most blacks I know want equal opportunity, not equal outcomes. Republicans are interested in kitchen table issues, while progressive Democrats concern themselves with trending social issues. The Democrat Party treats Black Americans as a voiceless, reliable, generational support. The Republican Party is not much better in its treatment of Blacks, offering few viable alternatives to progressive Democrat policies. Liberal politics sound great in political campaigns, but after several decades of unbroken support, what has the greater Black community received in exchange for decades of undying reinforcement of progressive causes? Maybe it's time to audit our one sided political support. I offer that America's civil rights movement has been conflated and neutered through association with issues of supposedly oppressed minorities. This essay is my attempt to get Black voters to understand that in the end, Black values matter. So that's pretty much the deal. I mean, Black people, specifically inner city Black people, have been usurped by people that really are not Black. I mean, you got a lot of folks claiming, the civil rights movement as their own, and all that work was done by our fathers and grandfathers and mothers and grandmothers back in the 60s. So now you got people who don't look like Black people claiming, you know, oh, we're being mistreated. Well, I got a real issue with that. And, as an American, as a soldier, as a person of color, I just have a real problem with people taking pot shots at the civil rights movement. And, we've been voting Democrat pretty much 95% for as long as I can remember. And, you know, what has Mr. Obama, for example, during his 2 terms in office done for the Black community? I think there was a whole lot of patting people on the head and telling people how wonderful they were. But I look around and Baltimore, for example, is crumbling. Now, I use Baltimore as a model. I live in Howard County, Maryland, which is a very affluent county outside of Washington, D.C. But I'm also 20 minutes away from Baltimore, and it's like night and day. The roads are terrible. The infrastructure is terrible. There's no jobs, the kind of jobs that you and I would aspire to, and the lifestyles of those Americans who live in Baltimore is suffering. However, in the meantime, our government is making war on people who haven't done anything to us. We're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine. We are $31 trillion in debt. That's roughly $92,000 for every man, woman, and child citizen in the United States. So that puts us in a situation where every one of us has a mortgage that we don't know about. And the Federal Reserve can call that in at any time. And so, with that said, I got a real problem with the way the government allocates its money. And as a senior person, as a senior civilian, I spent a lot of time at DHS, and I also spent a lot of time at other agencies. I guess we could say no such agency. How about that? And I got
Perfect.
literally after I retired, I spent like 12 years there. So with that said, I've seen it all on the inside. I know about all the things that go on, the Black budget, the whole deal. And we're spending billions of dollars on things that I think we should not be spending on. Yet on the other hand, people in the cities are crumbling. And not just that, let's go outside the cities, go out into the country. You got a fentanyl problem that is out of control. People's children are dying, and we're opening the border. So to me,
Hmm.
this whole thing is orchestrated. You call it the World Economic Forum, you call it the Chinese government. I see the 1% closing in on us, and it's not a good thing. And most people have no idea what I'm talking about. But things I said 5, 6 years ago when I was trying to explain to people what I was seeing from my perch inside the fence. I couldn't talk but so much. Now some of those same people are like, Bernie, what were you talking about? Klaus Schwab, who is that guy? This guy looks like a Bond villain. He is clearly Dr. Evil, and nobody even knows his name. And he's out here getting away with this, and throw in Bill Gates, throw in George Soros, and whole list of others. They're not there for us. They're not there for the betterment of the American people. And I just had enough. So I'm going to spend the rest of my days trying to make it right.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, even
I'm sorry to go
people
on
like
that you're passionate about this, man.
no, no, that's exactly what we're here for. Going off is where it's like letting that passion come through. I think is what lets people know exactly how important these issues are and how important it needs to be for them in their lives as well. And passion is contagious, so I value that. One of the things you mentioned the Klaus Schwab, and one of the things that you also mentioned Barack Obama, and one of the people who they're very very tightly connected within Barack Obama and Klaus Schwab is a guy in Yuval Noah Harari. All right, and
Yeah.
multiple times Barack Obama has quoted him as being one of the most intelligent and inspiration human beings on the planet. And so, with those two being that connected, there seems to be it rings a few alarms. It sets a few alarms
Yeah.
off.
Transhumanism is the word. That's what they're all
Hmm.
about. And so
Yes.
I got a real problem with all those people. I've read several of their books. As far as Obama, when I retired from the Air Force in 2008, I was down in San Antonio, and I made the mistake of going to an Obama rally, and he was running against Hillary Clinton in the primary. And I was a registered Republican at the time. And there must have been, I don't know, 50, 60 people in my North San Antonio neighborhood that we met up in somebody's backyard. Next thing you know, I'm the precinct chairman for the Obama campaign in San Antonio. He
Wow.
lost Texas, but he won the presidency. And my deal was I wanted to make sure that things were done fairly because the Hillary Clinton people, I saw them as ready to cheat at any opportunity. And I found that to be true. So
Hmm.
I am not that guy who is, hey, I'm going to vote for the Republican no matter what. I vote for the best person. And in my situation here in Maryland, the Republican Party seems to be the best option for me. And as far as Mr. Trump is concerned, he says the things, my words are coming out of his mouth. And as long as that happens, then I support him. I think he's fighting for it. But what's going on in New York is a travesty, an absolute travesty. And I know I'm bouncing around in subjects. You asked me to talk about the book, and Black values are American values. And if you look at this book, and if you were to read it, you'd see, Black folks are no different than anybody else. We should be America first. We should be thinking about our country and what we can do to help our country grow and leave a good legacy for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. And that's what I'm all about. But this idea of separatism and Black people getting reparations and all that sort of stuff. Well, one of the things that I bring up in the book was let's talk about how did we get over here? How did we get to the United States? Well, there is a tribe called the Dahomey tribe. I don't know if you're familiar, but in Africa, they were the big hegemon and they were basically the slave catchers. So with all these people talking about Black Lives Matter and all blame everybody else, when are we going to blame the slave catchers? The people who went into the jungles and captured my ancestors. I got a real problem with that. And
Yeah.
there's others, but they're the ones who come to mind at this point. And the history is there, but most people don't want to read history books. I've got a whole set of them. As a military person, especially as an officer, I was expected to read all that stuff. And again, my parents beat it into my head. I believe in meritocracy, and I believe that we all have an opportunity to better our fate or make it worse. But we're over here as the Black community. A lot of folks that are in leadership are trying to place blame on folks that have nothing to do with our history. And as far as I'm concerned, what we got to do is take responsibility for our own lives. So some people call me conservatives, people call me whatever they want to do, but I came from virtually a tobacco field in North Carolina. So I've been able to educate myself, travel all over the world at Uncle Sam's dime, and I've been able to contribute to a lot of things that I think have been good for this country. And I'm going to continue doing that. But before we start blaming everyone else, people don't understand that the British government outlawed slavery in 1833, and the Dahomey king tried to petition the British king in order to continue on with slavery because he was making so much money, um, basically capturing and selling my ancestors. So I got a real problem with that, and I put it in the book. So I hope you
Yeah.
guys like it. I hope you guys will take an opportunity to take a look at it because there's a lot of history in there that you don't hear every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to diving into it a little bit deeper. And one of the things that brought up for me is I like to study history as well, and I like to dive into a lot of different topics. And one of the topics that you really, when you were talking about these agendas and you're talking about the especially like the reparations agenda and a few other things. It really reminds me of these other socially engineered agendas that have really kind of sprung up since the 50s, since the end of the civil rights movement, if you would, where we really kind of started pushing like COINTELPRO, where there was the infiltration in the black communities. We started looking at the Iran Contra scandal, and we started looking at the pushing of crack cocaine and
Very well.
coke into the black communities. So it
Yeah.
seems that like there's always been this these agendas, and who knows where it's coming from, whether it is organizations like the World Economic Forum, the global elite, the 1%, whatever you want to call them. It seems like they've always continually put together something in order to tear apart, break down the fabric of the society, or just basically erode any sort of connection within communities that used to be the strength and the foundation of, say, things like the civil rights movement.
Yes, I agree. And go back to Gary Webb in San Diego. Yeah, our own Central Intelligence Agency that hold Oliver North, and I once met Oliver North. Passed by him in the desert on the way back from Afghanistan. Nice man. He treated me very well. But the issue of the day, the Iran Contra thing, was our government clandestinely figuring out ways to carry out war in other places and raise money to do things that we shouldn't have been doing. And in the meantime, the black population is still addicted in a lot of cases to illegal drugs that are coming from Central America. And, it was just a terrible thing. I don't want to get into all that, but black people have a reason to be upset because our government was officially working against them. And that is wrong. And from coming from the inside, it embarrasses me. It embarrassed me. And more importantly, there's a book that I read that really pushed me over the edge. It's called War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I
Tiny little
haven't.
book. But General Butler retired as the most decorated soldier of his generation back in the 30s. And he was so popular that some of the insiders tried to run him for president. But his famous words were not only war is a racket, but, quote, I was a high paid thug for big business. So when you hear the term banana republic, all those countries that got overthrown and destabilized in Central America, that was the American Marine Corps and American big business working together to keep those people poor, so they could keep making bananas and pop and pineapple for us. And a lot of those countries are still suffering today because of some of the policies of the American government. And Smedley Butler, general now deceased, brought that up, and he was a predecessor to Eisenhower. Beware the military-industrial complex. We're over here, notice we get out of Afghanistan where we were spending $1 billion a day. And okay, we wrapped that up. We were there for 20 years. We killed a bunch of people. We lost a lot of blood and treasure. Now let's go to Ukraine. Didn't even skip a beat. And I'm sitting here like, this has to be orchestrated. This has to be a plan. And I can tell you that BlackRock already has plans to rebuild Ukraine if it survives. And they're going to make so much money off of it. And I don't know if you're familiar with BlackRock. I'm pretty
Oh
sure
yeah.
you are. But
Yep.
they are one of the largest companies in the world. They own most people's pension funds, and they are doing things to our economy that we have no understanding of, and it is not good. And they're using our money against us. And we
Yeah.
look at all these movies, like they ruin the Marvel franchise at Disney, and Disney's going through a whole lot of stuff and a whole lot of non-traditional family things going on down there. People used to be able, we put our children in front of the Disney television routinely. We'd be like, hey, watch some TV and when you get done with your homework. Well, now you can't do that anymore. If you've got small children, you can't trust Disney anymore. And all that is due to the woke policies. I think they call it ESG, environmental social governance from
Yeah.
BlackRock and companies like BlackRock. And they're basically forcing this woke agenda upon us. And it is not good for America. And, when you see drag queen story time being performed in schools and things like that, these people are this is not organic. This is stuff coming from a corporate structure that is not good for America, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop it here on the East Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. We even see it. One of the things that I've noticed, especially since the '80s and '90s, the uh, professional sports franchises and the professional sports industry seems to be targeting that exact thing. It seems to be targeting communities and eroding that family structure, implanting agendas through commercial and messaging. And I think that even taking a look at something like that, how it has gotten into our pop culture and is reaching the levels of our children to inspire to go after the sports stars that they see that are pushing these agendas. People like a LeBron James,
Yeah.
and we're watching that, and it's interesting because the more you dig into it, for me, again, going right back to Miles Guo and the CCP, it seems like a lot of the funding that is funding a lot of these agencies, like the basketball association, like the football association, like baseball, is
Mhm.
coming from China, which is very incidental, or I should say coincidental, maybe, or not so
Well,
much.
as you remember, there was a executive with the Philadelphia 76ers, I think he was, and China is a big market for NBA basketball, and this gentleman mentioned the Uyghurs. And the Chinese government basically said, if you don't get a retraction from this guy, we're going to stop Philadelphia basketball from being played in China. You're going to lose money. And he basically got a lot of the major stars, as I remember, LeBron and a few other people got up and said, "Oh, we love China," and oh, yada yada. We're sorry, we didn't want to. No, that was the Chinese government manipulating our international information space. That's military grade information operations, and we let it happen. And if I'm not mistaken, that gentleman who was that NBA executive got moved to another team, or basically fired, and now I think he's with the Houston Rockets. But the bottom line is that the Chinese government is doing whatever they want to, and our administration is allowing them to do it. I mean, look at TikTok. TikTok is a
Hmm.
Chinese company, and
Yeah.
when Trump was in office, he was just about to shut it down, and all of a sudden, it got that thing got nixed, and our children's heads are being turned into mush. I mean,
Yeah.
literally. And it sounds cute and all this dancing and all this sort of stuff. But the issue of the day is while we do this, the Chinese government is issuing edicts to toughen up their boys, putting them in martial arts classes, teaching them how to shoot. Uh, they are preparing for invasion, and we're not going to
Yeah.
have anybody strong enough to man our armies. And it ain't going to be cyber; it's going to be bullets on the ground. So I hope it never happens. Nobody wants less war than a military person, but I know what can happen out there. And Taiwan is only about 70 miles from the mainland China. And if we're talking about defending Taiwan, personally, I don't know how we're going to do it. I do not understand. It'll be a very, very bloody campaign, and it won't be pretty. And we will not be in a good situation. And especially if we're softening our boards like our media is telling us to do. So not good at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's What we notice is the CCP, the Chinese, like they play the long game, and this has been a strategy that's been put into place for a long time, and I really think it starts. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think it really started with removing the connection of God within our nation, and getting our culture away from the connection with our Christian Judeo roots, and our relationship with the higher power, with the Creator, and really kind of beginning with the agenda of mainstream sports, especially football, which is always on Sundays, right? And then mixing it with Budweiser, Bud Light, mixing it with the alcohol, and putting that all together as a focus of the head of the family, the spiritual head of the family on Sundays. And I feel like that was specifically targeted at the men in this nation to soften this country a long time ago, and now it's gotten to a place where they can actually start to take advantage of it, and spread that out to every aspect of our culture and our society. And as we move closer to this global economic collapse, this potential kinetic war, we just we have the heightened tensions just today with the president of Taiwan visiting with Speaker McCarthy here in the United States in California, and China moved into the Taiwanese Straits and started live fire drills.
Yeah.
So as we move closer to that, this agenda to weaken our nation and to weaken our children as a whole, is becoming all too clear and present in our current society.
Yeah, it's very, very clear to me. I mean, I spent some time learning about information operations. I'll say
Hmm.
that. And so it's very obvious to me what's going on. And like I said, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people thought I was crazy to include my own family, and now they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" Not only that, people don't seem to understand that they're attacking us economically, because the reason that we enjoy such a strong economy is it's called the petrodollar. Most major transactions in this world are done through dollars. When other countries exchange major goods, they use dollars. And if that's taken away, then our dollar becomes less valuable. So these BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and a few other ones, specifically, the Saudis, they're all looking at a different currency. And if we put ourselves in a situation where the um, American government dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency, we're going to have an economic fall that has never, never, never happened before. It is not good, and people don't even see it coming. And our company, our country operates on a fiat currency. I mean, it used to be backed by gold until 1972. I think that was it, when Nixon took us off gold. And now we have paper money that's really not backed by anything except a promise from the Federal Reserve. People don't understand that the Federal Reserve is about as federal as Federal Express. It is a
Yeah.
bank, and bankers don't like us. Just like what happened with the California bank failure just a couple of weeks ago. That could happen very easily. I don't want to scare people, but I want people to be aware of what we're up against, because the people in charge are using this Black Lives Matter thing, using ethnicity and calling everybody racist and all that, and they're keeping us divided while they're taking our lifestyle away. Because, as you said, the Chinese, they don't want to fight us. We've got nuclear weapons. No, 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 no. They want us to give up. You know, they want to control us. They want to be a hegemon, and we've been a hegemon for 100 years. The American dollar has been, the literal gold standard, the reserve currency of the world for a very, very long time. They want their currency to be the world standard, and they want to, and what they've done with their alliance with Russia is very, very troubling to me. And while we have a war going on in the Ukraine, I mean, it's a virtual war. These people are fighting, but they're using American weapons. The Chinese and the Russians are making a pact to take us down, and everybody's going to stand by and watch. And I love this country too much to let that happen, at least without saying something about it. So this is where we are. And again, back to the book, um, black people have a tendency to lead a lot of social trends in our country. So those that are in charge are saying, hey, let's bring on the LGBT people and let's bring on this and bring on that. And the bottom line is most blacks are conservatives and they're wondering what's going on. But the media, nobody hears from the average middle class black person who is working hard and trying to raise their family. What they're hearing is Twitter. And Twitter is most black folks aren't on Twitter and it's not doing us any good. So there's a lot of that is explained in the book, and I'm just passionate about it. So I'm just happy to have the opportunity to talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
sure you can tell I'm fired up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as I said, that's a valuable asset and valuable passion to have. So one of the things, one of the whole missions of Liberty Arise and Liberty Arise Media is giving action items to our audience, giving them a directive, sending them those soldiers out with a mission. And I know you touched on it a little bit through our conversation today. And but if you were speaking to our audience, if you're speaking directly to the people, what's your marching orders?
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I mean, marching orders, that's a lot to say. But what Berney is doing, first thing, I'm going to reach out to every elected official that I can and let them know that I'm here and I'm not happy. Writing letters is real effective. I mean, letters, emails, they need to have something to understand that there's some sort of trail so they can count. Because if you don't let them know that you're angry, they won't know and they're going to carry on with their agenda. Next, let them know where you stand. Let them know that you're not happy and, that things need to change and that you put them into office to make a change, a positive change for the people, not for corporate America, because what we got now is fascism, bottom line. The government and corporate America are working together against us. To me, that's the definition of fascism. Thirdly, get involved locally, because all politics are local. So, you're talking about the central committees like you're on, like the dog catcher, the I don't know, the school board. You'd be surprised how much power a county commissioner has. I mean, here in Howard County, Maryland, this is a multi-billion-dollar county and the county commissioner makes somewhere around, let's say, 120, $130,000 a year. Now that may seem like a lot of money, but when you juxtapose that to the $1 billion decisions that person gets to make, uh, there's a lot of opportunity for mischief, and we need to let
Mm-hmm.
folks know that we're watching them. And those three things, if you could just do those things and make sure you vote, I think that'll go a long way. And of course, voter integrity, that's a whole nother issue. When the voting comes around, we got to get election judges in there. We got to get neutral people that are willing to watch the show, because if they don't, there's opportunities to cheat. These electronic voting machines, anything made by man can be manipulated. And I've got 35 years of IT. My background starting out was, IT, computers, information operations, all those things. And I'm telling you, those voting machines can be manipulated no matter what they say. So
Yeah.
those are the things I would focus on if it was me.
Perfect. That's great. That's exactly what our folks need to hear, and they have their missions right now. They have their missions to go out there and get involved, and
There
whether
you
it's
go.
in your local party, whether it's at the county level, whether it's the state level, you have options to write your legislators and get involved, because you can give testimony on any of the bills that are out there. So make sure that you pay attention, because it's the complacency, it's the
Yeah.
ignoring your civic duties and getting involved in these the comfortable complacency of life that has gotten us to where we are. And the more that we, the people, can take back this nation and steer this ship, the more likelihood that we're going to be able to save this nation and leave a better generation for our future, for the next children and the next generation. And because that's really what it's about. I'm sick of politicians just being out for the next election and being out for their self-serving purposes. It's time for we actually have leaders who are statesmen, who are serving the next generation and not just their pocketbooks. So that's really where we need to go. So
We owe it to our children.
we sure do. Well, sir, I know we talked about you coming in, joining the Liberty Arise Media family, and I know we're talking about having some new content from you coming out on the Liberty Arise platform. So um, we'll all be looking forward to seeing that sometime soon.
Well, Scott, I appreciate it, man. I tell you, the kind of IT that I did was involved in killing people and breaking things. To tell you the truth, and the kind of IT that you do, you have opened my eyes to a lot of things, and you're making it easier for me to access the media. So, what I'm going to do is follow you up on that, and next thing you know, hopefully by next week, I'll be able to stream some items onto your platform and learn a few things from you because we can all learn from each other. And you got a lot to teach, brother.
And so do you, my friend. And I look forward to sharing with you and learning from you and continuing to stand side by side in this foxhole and going forward to save this nation and make a better future for the next generation, sir.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, you
Amen.
want to tell our audience where they can find you and where they can get a hold of you if you need?
Well, you can find me. I got my little card up here. This thing right here. Ooh, can you see it? Oh, there it is.
If put it in
I'm
front of
back.
your shirt, it will. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Going to be there. Anyway, I'll read it to you. Bernie Flowers. I spell it different because I don't want to be associated with Bernie Sanders. So I spell my name Erney. And if you type me in on social media, especially LinkedIn, YouTube, Getter, Gab, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on all those platforms and I'm learning more from Scott because you told me about things that I didn't even know. So I'm just learning all this stuff and Rumble. You know, you can type me in on Rumble, but I don't, I'm working on all that. And so BernieFlowers.com is my website. Info at BernieFlowers.com is my email address. So just bottom line, if you just type me in on social media, Berney, I should pop up. And if you go on to Amazon, which is a real deal, you should be able to buy this book, Black Values
Mm.
Matter. Going out personally and making the rounds at the local Republican clubs here in Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and you'll hear more about that. And the coolest thing is the latest thing we did was we recorded it on Audible. It's a quick listen. You can get through it in 3 hours, a little over 3 hours while you're doing the dishes or working on your car or whatever. But we got to get this message out because the bottom line is the powers that be are trying to divide this country. And this book should be called American Values Matter. But I couldn't sell that. So I used Black Values Matter, and I think it's going pretty well. So I'm happy. A lot of people are happy, and I am not done, not even close. Oh, by the way,
I
I don't know if you all knew on the 18th of January last year was my last day in the federal government. On the 19th of January, I marched over to the state government of Maryland and ran for Congress. And I was just so angry that I spent $35,000 on my own money to try to make it happen. And we made a good showing. But bottom line is we're considering another run. We'll see what happens. But the main thing is we have got to protect our families. And that is what this whole thing is about. That is why I left the government because I felt that I could do more work for the people on the outside than I could on the inside after 34 years. So that's it, brother.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your service. Thank you for running, and look forward to hearing your potential decision for the future coming up running. And I'm so glad to welcome you to the Liberty Arise Media family. And I look forward to sharing your content with our audience. Man, it's been a pleasure.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah.
Well,
Well.
you take care of
Well.
yourself. I guess you've asked all unless you got some more questions, man. I'm here for you, but
Yeah.
I don't want to take up all your time.
Yeah, I think we've reached our time here, and I think that but we will definitely do it again sometime soon. And I look forward to your content with the rest of Liberty Rise Media. And it's been just such a pleasure. And so I really I think this is a beginning of a great collaboration, sir.
All right. You take care of yourself, and I look forward to working with you, and maybe we'll get out to Hawaii one day.
I would love that. It'd be great to see you, and God bless you and your family, and we'll talk very soon.
God bless you. Thank you,
All
brother.
right. All right. Well, that was Bernie Flowers. It was so wonderful to have him on. Such a great patriot and just a wonderful individual. So make sure that you go check out his book. The link is right down below in the description of this video, as well as his website. Keep up with Bernie, and we'll have the announcement very soon with his first content that's coming out on the platform, and we'll keep you guys updated. But remember to like this channel, share the stream, and follow us. Follow Liberty Arise Media to keep up on all of our content, whether it's the Family Table on Saturdays, or it's Hamilton's. Headmaster's Homeroom with Lady Hamilton on Friday nights or Sunday, or this show right here, Liberty Rise, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and with the new content coming out soon with Bernie Flowers. So appreciate everybody, and once again, want to remind you of our sponsor, Be Nourished. Be Nourished is one of the most amazing and unique honeys on the planet, right here from the North Shore of the island of Maui. Comes straight from the beekeepers. Be Nourished is all the bees they're all kept on what they call the Golden Mile, where there's millions of these amazing wildflowers, and it has just such an incredible honey. And then they take superfoods and blend it together with that honey, and so it's just such an amazing product. And if you want to get some, you can get 22% off using the word Liberty at checkout. So it's nourishedmaui.com, and you can get 22% off at checkout, and you can have Maui honey delivered directly to your front door. So, and also remember, we are citizen journalists, citizen-funded journalism. We're just doing this on my dime and my time. We're just trying to keep the lights on in the studio and get the subscriptions we need to make this happen. So here are a few ways that you can donate to help support this mission. Buy Me a Coffee is one of my favorite ones. And now, remember, on Rumble Rants, you can become a $5 monthly donor, which will help us to make this mission happen. And you can donate red pills on pill.net. If you haven't checked out pill.net yet, these great guys that they were all part of the Great Purge from the YouTube, a couple years ago, and they ended up getting together and created pill.net. So they're out there defending the First Amendment and creating a platform for free speech. Originally it was called Foxhole, and then they expanded into pill.net. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It's a great place to be, and they are just doing the good work. So we'll be back on Friday with the next show, and we've got some amazing guests for you on Friday as well. We're going to be talking about safe blood, and we're going to be talking about blood banks for those of you who are out there who are concerned about the availability of blood going forward, and especially unvaccinated blood. So we're going to be discussing that, and we're also reaching out to our friend from Unjected, the website Unjected, Shelby. We're going to see if we can get her on and see if we can discuss maybe even creating some sort of a platform where we have a network for those who are unvaccinated, who want to make sure that they have unvaccinated blood for them in the case of some sort of an emergency. So we'll be discussing all of that on Friday, and we can't wait to share all that with you. So thank you guys for being here, and I hope everybody has an amazing Wednesday. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep moving forward. Stay frosty. Keep that powder dry, and keep the eyes towards the Lord, because that's going to be the true north that guides us home. So God bless everybody, and have a wonderful Wednesday.